Imagine if the most righteous man on earth suddenly lost everything he held dear in a single shattering day. What if his unshakable faith was tested in ways that defied all reason, leaving him broken yet somehow unbreakable? This is the ancient tale that has haunted humanity for millennia. The story of a man whose agony reveals the deepest mysteries of suffering, divine silence, and ultimate redemption. Brace yourself for a journey that will challenge everything you think you know about fairness, pain, and the hidden hand of the universe. But as we dive in, ask yourself, could you hold on when the heavens themselves seem to turn against you? In the sun-scorched lands of a distant realm, there lived a man whose life was a masterpiece of virtue and fortune. His name was Job, and he stood unmatched in integrity, flawless in character, devout in spirit, and utterly removed from wickedness. Whispers of his holiness echoed across the endless dunes, drawing admiration from nomads and kings alike. But Job's blessings weren't just spiritual. They overflowed into unimaginable wealth. He fathered 7 sons and 3 daughters, a sprawling family that symbolized heaven's favor in those ancient times. His herds stretched like shadows across the horizon, 7,000 sheep grazing vast pastures, 3,000 camels forming endless caravans, 500 yoke of oxen plowing fertile fields, and 500 donkeys laden with the earth's bounty. Servants beyond counting tended his empire, making him the envy of the East. His children reveled in joyous feasts, rotating through each other's homes, inviting their sisters to share in the laughter and abundance. Yet Job, ever the watchful guardian, never let spiritual vigilance falter. After each cycle of celebrations, he'd rise at dawn to purify them all, offering sacrifices for each one. What if they've strayed in their hearts? He'd ponder, fearing hidden sins against the divine. This wasn't mere ritual. It was the rhythm of a soul deeply attuned to the eternal, a father shielding his loved ones from unseen shadows. Day after day, before the first light kissed the desert peaks, Job interceded, his devotion as steady as the stars. He wasn't chasing appearances. His reverence was raw, his wisdom profound. In this golden life, Job had unlocked the secret to harmony between heaven and earth, prosperity built on unyielding righteousness. His fields bloomed endlessly, his trade routes buzzed with riches, and his name evoked awe. A man truly favored by the unseen forces above. But what if that perfect world was about to crumble? Unbeknownst to Job, his fate was being woven in realms beyond mortal sight. A cosmic wager that would strip away every illusion of control. High in the celestial courts, where ethereal beings gathered before the throne of the infinite, an unexpected visitor appeared. The adversary, a shadowy figure of opposition and deceit. "Where have you been roaming?" the Almighty inquired, not out of ignorance, but to unmask the wanderer's restless malice. "Circling the earth, prowling its every corner," came the reply, laced with cunning intent. This foe never slept, always hunting for weakness, plotting chaos in the hearts of men. Then the divine voice turned the spotlight. "Have you noticed my servant Job? There's no one like him, pure, upright, devoted, and free from evil." It was a proud declaration, like a master craftsman showcasing his finest work. But the adversary sneered, firing back a venomous doubt. "Does he serve you for nothing? You've shielded him, blessed his every endeavor, multiplied his fortunes. Strip it all away, touch what he treasures, and watch him curse you to your face." This wasn't just an attack on Job. It was a challenge to the very nature of loyalty. Could anyone love the divine without reward? Was faith genuine or merely a bargain? The stakes were eternal. Prove that devotion could endure without strings attached. With measured authority, the Almighty responded, "Very well. Everything he has is in your power, but spare his life." And so, the adversary departed, unleashing a storm that would redefine suffering. But here's the twist that grips the soul. Why would the heavens allow such torment on the most faithful? Hold on, because what unfolds next will leave you questioning the fabric of reality itself. Picture this: Job's children feasting in the eldest brother's home, joy filling the air like wine from overflowing cups. Unaware, Job prepared his morning rites, his heart a silent prayer for their protection. But in a blink, disaster struck like thunder from a clear sky. A messenger burst in, gasping. Raiders swept down, seizing the oxen and donkeys, slaughtering the servants. Only I escaped to warn you. Before the words faded, another arrived. Fire from the skies devoured the sheep and shepherds. I'm the sole survivor. No time to grieve, yet another. Warriors in 3 bands stole the camels, killing all but me. The blows landed relentlessly, each stripping away layers of his empire. Then, the final heart-rending strike. A mighty wind tore through the desert, collapsing the house on your children. They're all gone. Only I remain. In moments, Job's world shattered. Wealth vanished, legacy buried, future erased. The sequence was diabolical. Possessions first, then the irreplaceable blow to his bloodline. A father's unbreakable bond snapped like fragile thread. Would this crush him utterly, or could something deeper emerge from the ruins? Rising in anguish, Job tore his robes, shaved his head, and fell to the ground, not in rage, but in worship. I came into this world with nothing, and nothing I'll take when I leave. The eternal gives, and the eternal takes away. Blessed be that name forever. Astonishingly, in his darkest hour, he praised the very force that permitted his devastation. No sin crossed his lips, no blame hurled skyward. The first assault had failed. His faith stood firm, proving love beyond transaction. But the shadows weren't done. A deadlier trial loomed, one that would invade his very flesh. Can you imagine enduring more? Stay with me, for the true test is just beginning. Once more, the celestial assembly convened, the adversary slinking back amid the divine host. Still prowling the earth, the Almighty probed. Indeed, he admitted, eyes fixed on his unfinished prey. Consider Job again, came the retort. He clings to his integrity, even after you urged me to ruin him without cause. Defiant, the foe countered, skin for skin, a man will trade anything to save himself. Strike his body, afflict his bones, and he'll curse you openly. The wager escalated, pain in the core of his being, where survival instincts scream loudest. Very well, he's in your hands, the divine voice decreed, but preserve his life. Swiftly, the torment descended. A hideous affliction ravaged Job from head to toe. Boils erupting like fire, itch unbearable, fever raging, nightmares haunting. Scholars whisper of ulcers that disfigured, skin blackening, breath foul as death. The once mighty patriarch now scraped his sores with broken pottery, slumped in ashes at the city's edge, a pariah in his own land. Even his wife, shattered by shared loss, cracked. Why cling to this? Curse the divine and end it. Her words, born of despair, echoed the adversary's hope. But Job rebuked gently. You speak like one without wisdom. Shall we accept only the good and reject the bad? Again, no sin stained his words. His body broken, spirit intact, faith triumphed over flesh. Yet cracks formed, questions brewed in his soul. How much more could one endure before the silence broke? The drama intensifies now, as unlikely allies arrive, promising comfort, but delivering judgment. Word of Job's downfall spread like wildfire, drawing 3 esteemed friends from afar, wise men intent on solace. Seeing him, unrecognizable, a shadow of glory, they wailed, tore their garments, scattered dust heavenward. For 7 days and nights, they sat in stunned silence, honoring his grief with wordless presence. Their finest hour, until they spoke. Job shattered the quiet first, cursing not the divine, but his own birth. Let that day vanish from time, the night of my conception erased. He yearned for oblivion, death's sweet release from torment. Why grant life to the weary, light to the bitter-hearted? His poetry poured out agony, a soul's raw plea. Then his friends unleashed their wisdom. The eldest argued, "Innocents don't perish, the wicked reap what they sow. Surely some hidden fault brought this." Another piled on, "Your children must have sinned, that's why they fell." The third, "You're getting less punishment than deserved, repent." Their theology was tidy, suffering equals sin. But it crushed Job further, turning consolation into accusation. "Useless comforters, all of you," he cried. They defended doctrine over empathy, formulas over fellowship. What if their certainty masked deeper ignorance? As debates raged, Job's frustration peaked, leading to a cry that echoes eternally. In despair's depths, Job demanded audience with the divine. "Oh, that my words were etched in stone forever." Unwittingly prophetic, for his plea would endure, turning heavenward. "Why hide your face, treating me as foe? Your arrows pierce me, terrors assail." He felt targeted by the very power he'd served. "If only I'd sinned and died swiftly, better than this endless grind." Yet, in a flash of vision, "I know my vindicator lives, and in the end, he'll stand upon the earth. Though my flesh wastes away, in my body I'll see the divine." Hope flickered amid chaos, a personal resurrection, eyes beholding redemption. But doubt clawed back. "Hide me in the grave till your wrath passes." Bold pleas. "My days are few, leave me be. Grant a moment's peace before eternal darkness." Job's honesty shone. No feigned piety, just authentic wrestling. He voiced every sufferer's unspoken cry. Why the faithful? Where's justice? His struggle modeled faith's raw edge. Loyal, yet questioning. Broken, yet unbroken. But the climax approaches. A divine storm that will redefine everything. What if the answer isn't words, but overwhelming presence? At last, after endless arguments, the heavens roared. From a whirlwind's fury, not gentle whisper, but tempest's might, the Eternal spoke. "Who darkens counsel with ignorant words? Gird yourself, I'll question you." No explanations, just interrogations, exposing human frailty. "Where were you when I laid earth foundations? Declare if you know. Who measured its dimensions, set its cornerstone amid singing stars and angelic shouts? Creation unfolded like a symphony, Job missed entirely. Did you confine the seas, clothing them in clouds, barring their proud waves? Ocean's chaos incarnate, bowed to divine decree. Have you commanded dawn, grasped light's edges, shaken wickedness from shadows? Look at Behemoth, crafted alongside you, yet grass-fed like an ox. Strength in its loins, tail swaying like cedar, bones bronze strong, limbs iron forged. Colossal, unapproachable, mountains its meadow, floods mere ripples. First among my works, only I can subdue it. Then Leviathan, hook this sea dragon, pierce its jaw? Will it beg mercy, serve as pet? Absurd, fire from its mouth, smoke from nostrils, breath igniting coals, neck unyielding, terror its herald, scales like shields, underbelly sharp as shards. It boils the deep, trails glowing wakes, fearless king over the proud. If these creatures eluded mastery, how dare question their maker? The point pierced, divine wisdom infinitely beyond mortal grasp. Humbled, Job replied, I see you can do all things, no plan thwarts you. I spoke of wonders beyond me, darkening truth in ignorance. Transformation dawned. I'd heard rumors of you, but now my eyes behold you. Thus, I despise my presumption and repent in dust. Not self-loathing, but awe-struck surrender. No more demands, just encounter. Suffering's purpose? Not answers, but revelation. Faith shifted from understanding ways to trusting the one. Divine wrath turned not on Job, but his friends. You spoke falsely of me. My servant Job spoke truth. They offered sacrifices. Job prayed for them. His healing unlocked in forgiveness. Restoration flooded. Double the herds, new children, 7 sons, 3 daughters of unmatched beauty, inheriting alongside brothers. Family returned. Society embraced him. Job lived 140 years, witnessing generations flourish, dying fulfilled. Yet this saga whispers timeless truths. Suffering strikes the just, not always as penalty. The divine owes no accounts. Trust character over clarity. True devotion weathers storms, rooted in essence, not gifts. Presence surpasses explanations. Trials forge intimate knowing. Job's odyssey doesn't solve pain's riddle, but equips us to face it with unyielding hope. For in the end, when all crumbles, one truth endures. The Redeemer lives, and eyes will see. What if your trial is the gateway to that vision?